The journey of African-American writer Ernest J. Gaines. Ernest J. Gaines was born to Manuel and Adrienne Gaines on January 15, 1933. He was born in the River Lake Plantation near Oscar, Louisiana, in a small town called Point Coupe Parish. His parents, Manuel and Adrienne, were both sharecroppers and raised a large family of 9 boys and 3 girls, with Ernest being the oldest boy. His parents separated when he was 8 years old, and then his aunt, Augustine Jefferson, took Ernest and his siblings in while his father served in World War II and his mother continued to work in the fields.
The River Lake Plantation, a nearby town he grew up in, full of blacks, black and white Creoles, and Cajuns, has served as the setting for all of Gaines' fiction, and it is through this small portion of the South that Gaines creates his mythical city of Bayonne. The absence of his father is also said to have later contributed to one of Ernest's major themes of sons searching for fathers, and his aunt has served as a model for the figure of strong older women, such as the protagonist in the autobiography of Miss Jane Pittman and Tante Lou in A Lesson Before Dying.
After World War II, Ernest's father moved to New Orleans and his mother to California to join her new husband, Raphael Norbert Collar Sr., and Ernest stayed to help Aunt Augustine with his 11 siblings. In 1948, at the age of 15, Gaines moved to Vallejo, California to be with his mother and stepfather. While in Vallejo, Gaines attended high school and lived in government housing where there was a diverse mixture of races and cultures. Although homesick, living in a diverse community reminded him of his home in Louisiana. When Ernest and his parents moved from the projects, the newfound feeling of comfort was replaced by a feeling of isolation as Gaines was not allowed to associate with potential friends. Instead, Gaines turned to the Vallejo Public Library in search for the world he had left behind. It was during these late years in high school and countless library hours that Ernest began writing about people he had grown up knowing, these people who were missing from the American writing in the true American South.
As Ernest continued his literary journey, he attended Vallejo Junior College and served 2 years in the Army. After his discharge from the service, Gaines attended San Francisco State College, and in 1956, his first short story, The Turtles, was published in a small magazine called Transfer. Later, while still in college, Gaines wrote a story called Comeback, which earned the Joseph Henry Jackson Award. Upon graduation from San Francisco in 1957, Gaines was given a Wallace Stegner Fellowship in Creative Writing for 2 years at Stanford University.
Gaines published his first novel in 1964 called Catherine Carmier. Considered by many to be his most despairing, this novel's theme of major isolation is a depiction of rural life and the tensions between generations. In the 2 years following Catherine Carmier, Gaines continued to work hard at his writing. In this short time, he wrote 4 novels and many short stories, of which none were published. Gaines received a grant from the National Endowment for the Arts in 1966 and began working on what would be his second published novel, Of Love and Dust, in 1967. With this novel, Gaines established his success as a writer and dealt with explosive political ideas such as the black and white relationship and racial equality in the South during the 1960s. In 1971, Gaines became a writer-in-residence at Denison University in Greenville, Ohio. It is there that he formed his most popular novel, the autobiography of Miss Jane Pittman. The popularity of this novel became so great that CBS aired it twice as a movie in 1974. It is with this novel that Ernest Gaines secured his reputation as a significant African-American author. Gaines received a Guggenheim Fellowship for the years of 1973 to 1974 and began writing The House in the Field, but put it aside to write In My Father's House, which was later published in 1978. This short book about the gap between fathers and sons gave Gaines the most trouble of any of his works due to his personal insight. In 1983, Gaines published A Gathering of Old Men. This story would later become another one of his novels to become popular and air as a movie in 1987, as well as receive a California Commonwealth Award for Fiction. Once again, Gaines returned to the rural Southern America in this novel and uses his strengths as a writer, implementing a variety of narrators with white, Cajun, and black voices.
After a gathering of old men, Gaines began teaching creative writing at Southwestern Louisiana State University in Lafayette and divided his time between there and his second home in San Francisco. In 1993, he was given a MacArthur Foundation grant, married Diane Saulney, and published his final book, A Lesson Before Dying, which in 1994 was awarded the National Book Critics Circle Award as the best novel of 1993. This great novel of personal struggle and racial oppression is recognized as a majestic, moving novel, an instant classic, a book that will be read, discussed, and taught beyond the rest of our lives.
An innocent suspect.
Would you call this a man? Do you see anyone who could plan a murder?
A reluctant teacher.
A white man's been killed, and a colored boy has to die for it. That's all there is to it. Jefferson is already dead. I can't raise the dead. All I can do is try to keep others from winding up like him.
I am a teacher, not the Messiah.
All she needs is to be able to say that he didn't crawl to that white man, that he stood in the inn and he walked.
He came to educate.
You want me to be somebody?
You the teacher, Grant Wiggin. You going up to that jail and you gonna make him know he's a man.
But learn the lesson of a lifetime. HBO proudly presents Don Cheadle, Cicely Tyson, Mekhi Phifer, and Irma P. Hall.
Children, we're going to go see Jefferson tomorrow. We're going to say goodbye.
Mr. Wiggins, will Jefferson go to heaven?
I don't know.
What is heaven, sir?
They say it's a place where there's no pain and there's no sorrow.
I'd like to go there, Mr. Wiggins.
So do I.
A Lesson Before Dying.
Currently, Ernest Gaines resides in Lafayette, where he continues to teach his creative writing classes. He also travels to schools where he speaks with students and does readings of his stories. Over the years, Gaines has gained considerable recognition, including honorary doctorates from Brown University, Bard College, Whittier College, and Louisiana State University. Gaines has also received awards from the San Francisco Arts Commission, the Commonwealth Club of California, and the American Academy and Institute of Arts and Letters. Ernest Gaines focuses his fiction on the rural folk culture of the South, with emphasis on Bayonne, Louisiana, and the perspective of ordinary black residents who are often ignorant to the larger world. This world he creates is multicultural, and Gaines carefully renders its complex race and class tensions as he explores the human meanings and implications of resistance and endurance.
I should wish the black youth of the South to read my book, because you show him that characters in a book are no better and no worse than he is. I wish the white youth of the South to read my book, to let him know that unless he knows his neighbor of the past 300 years, he knows only half of his own history